Having arrived, all members will please report to their assigned seats in the House of Representatives. All members will report to their seats. All members will gather in. We're going to have the morning roll call here in a moment. All right, we're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Thank you. Have all members voted? Got a little low turnout today. I'm assuming, though, that they're all, those that are not here, are downstairs being tested. What do you think? Good time to remind you that testing will continue until 11 a.m. downstairs. If you have not tested, then now's the time to do that. All members voted. What you wish to speak, Representative Thomas, during the roll call? All right, if all members have voted, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will close the doors and keep them closed. Well, good morning. We will begin our day today with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 27th House District, Chairman Lee Hawkins. Chairman Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I have the pleasure of reintroducing Scott Hearn to you. Scott visited with us last year in January. Scott is, I think, one of the best ministers I've ever heard, and I'm sincere about that. He brings a positive message, and each Sunday when we go to church, I always felt better leaving than I did getting there. He reminds me a lot of you. He represents the people that he serves. He represents his Lord, and he does it in a positive way. He focuses on solutions rather than on the problems. And he's a leader in the church and a leader in the community. And like many of you, he faces really tough times and tough decisions and finds a way that we all come together at the end. It's not the chicken or the egg, but more, is it Kentucky Fried or Bojangles? So he gets to the point quickly. He's no longer in Gainesville. He is now in Augusta. But I asked Scott to come up here as my minister because he will always be my minister, Scott Hearn.
Speaker Ralston and Representative and friend Lee Hawkins and distinguished members of this body, thank you so much for this high honor. And I just want to make sure that Representative Hawkins' words just then didn't come out of my time. Is that? Hey, listen, I want to say also this, just as a lifelong resident of this great state, I really appreciate that people like me get to come and stand at this place. That means something to me, and I want to thank you for that. So what I want to share this morning is an observation that I don't think I'm the only one that shares it, and that is this, that God has slowly being removed from our national and political dialogue. And my fear also is, what also is at risk is the protection of faith convictions also being removed. Now, this hasn't always been the case, and in a moment, I want to share a powerful example of when God was placed front and center by a sitting president, and it really wasn't that long ago. So why is God at risk of being removed? I mean, is God viewed as offensive or judgmental or not fair because we've gotten so smart? I think it's something else. And I think we begin to find that in the Proverbs writer who writes in Proverbs 30, 8 and 9, keep falsehoods and lie far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread. Otherwise, I may have too much and disown you, God, and say, who is the Lord? And I think that's where we as a nation are saying today, where is the Lord? And I don't think it's because we're so smart or we're trying to be so politically correct. I think it's because we have become so affluent. Affluence and humility don't complement each other. And the more affluent we become, the less dependent we become. And the less dependent as a nation, the more arrogant. I mean, isn't it ironic that we have moved away from the God who has blessed us so much because he's blessed us so much? So in Deuteronomy chapter 8, Moses has led this crazy group of wild people for 40 years across the wilderness, and they finally come to the Jordan River, and he's about to release them into the control and authority and responsibility of Joshua. But he says this, he has a little speech before he steps away, and he says this in verse 6, observe the commands of the Lord your God, walking in obedience to him and revering him. So two things that we read in this is law and reverence and awe. And when you read the founding fathers of this country, there is no mention of a king. There are two things, law and remaining in awe of God. Verse 10, when you have eaten and are satisfied, praise the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. And so Moses is saying, listen, be grateful. Be grateful. Moses knew us and our human nature, that we are so prone to move very quickly to my hands did this. And Moses knew that prosperity and humility don't go together. And it's not just individuals, it's nations also. You lose your humility, you lose your dependence, and you end up asking, who is the Lord? Verse 11, be careful that you do not forget the Lord your God, failing to observe his commands, his laws, and his decrees that I am giving you this day. Otherwise, when you eat and are satisfied, and when you build fine houses and settle down, and when your herds and flocks grow large, and your silver and gold increase, and all that you have is multiplied, then your heart will become proud, and you will forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. Verse 17, you may say to yourself, my power and the strength of my hands has produced this wealth for me. And when you think that what we have done is we've done our own, that we're no longer accountable to anyone else. And when we lose a sense of accountability, we become more unjust in our treatment of other people. And when we think that what we have is because of our hard work, we think it is all ours. And justice is out the window. Verse 18, but remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth and so confirms his covenant, which he swore to your ancestors as it is today. If you ever forget the Lord your God and follow other gods and worship and bow down to them, I testify against you this day that you will surely be destroyed. Like the nations the Lord destroyed before you, so you will be destroyed for not obeying the Lord your God. Now, does God destroy the nations? I'm not here to talk about that, but here's something I think we all would agree on. But I know this and you know this. Arrogance, lack of humility, and pride carry a judgment all their own. Leave God out of that. It hasn't always been that way. We knew that we were going to be entering into World War II as a country. We didn't know when, but we knew it was going to happen. And on June the 6th, 1944, Franklin Delano Roosevelt addressed the whole nation via radio with a prayer. It's not that long ago. Almighty God, our sons, pride of our nations, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic, our religion, and our civilization, and to set free a suffering humanity. Lead them straight and true. Give strength to their arms, stoutness to their hearts, steadfastness to their faith. They will need thy blessings. Their road will be long and hard, for the enemy is strong. He may hurl back our forces. Success may not come with rushing speed, but we shall return again and again. And we know that by thy grace and by the righteousness of our cause, our sons will triumph. For these men are lately drawn from the ways of peace. They fight not for the lust of conquest. They fight to end conquest. They fight to liberate. They fight to let justice arise and tolerance and goodwill among all thy people. They yearn but for the end of the battle, for their return to their haven of home. Some will never return. Embrace these, Father, and receive them. And as for us at home, fathers, mothers, children, wives, sisters, and brothers of brave men overseas, whose thoughts and prayers are ever with them, help us, Almighty God, to rededicate ourselves in renewed faith to thee in this hour of great sacrifice. Many people have urged that I call the nation into a single day of special prayer, but because the road is long and the desire is great, I ask that our people devote themselves in a continuance of prayer. As we rise each day, and again, as when each day is spent, let words of prayer be on our lips, invoking thy help to our efforts. And, O Lord, give us faith. Give us faith in thee, faith in our sons, and faith in each other. Thy will be done, Almighty God. Amen. You see, we still knew this, that even with all of the development of our military might, we still needed God. And we weren't too prideful to ask for it. And now, was there pushback to this? Boy, you better believe it, but it was ignored. Listen, the civil rights movement was led by a preacher. Aren't you glad someone didn't go, hey, wait a minute. We can't talk about God in connection with politics. Aren't you glad? We can't afford to let God disappear from our national conversation because we will become accountable only to ourselves. And when we are accountable only to ourselves, we will become even more unjust. And to do so will cause our national conscience to erode even more, and with it our sense of ought and ought not, and we will have no one to be grateful to. The most sensible thing to do is to keep God at the center of our national conversation. And the beautiful thing about this country is those who don't believe are free not to believe. Wouldn't it be powerful when a political official ended a speech that, yes, they said, God bless America, but then they added this heartfelt plea to God to make America grateful? Then everyone would know that we really still are a nation under God, and we are accountable to God, and we are grateful to God. And that there is no doubt in our minds that we are who we are because of his grace. Lord, we give thanks for all your many blessings. I pray blessings on this esteemed body, that you might continue to guide and lead us and be our God and lead us gracefully and faithfully. In Jesus' name, amen. We join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Chair recognizes Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal of the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And furthermore, Mr. Speaker, everybody has the right to be stupid. It's just that some people abuse their privilege, myself included.
Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. Burns, 159th, moves following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Reports of standing committees. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 618 by Representative Reeves, the 34th, Scoggins, the 14th. Bill being titled Act to Amend Article 3, Chapter 4, Title 53, the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to execution and attestation.
Judiciary.
House Bill 619 by Representative Houston, and the 170th. Bill being titled Act to Amend Part 2 of Article 3, Chapter 3, Title 12, the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to Heritage Trust Program.
State properties.
House Bill 620 by Representative Lever to the 33rd, Oliver to the 82nd, Abstention to the 104th, Wilson to the 80th, and Scoggins to the 14th. Bill being titled Act to Amend Title 29, Chapter 4 of Title 51, and Article 6 of Chapter 6 of Title 53, the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to guardian and ward, wrongful death, and bond.
Judiciary.
House Bill 621 by Representative Wilson to the 80th, Evans to the 57th, Allen to the 40th, and Schofield to the 60th. Bill being titled Act to Amend Title 33, the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to insurance.
Insurance.
House Bill 622 by Representative Dickey, the 140th. Bill being titled Act to Amend the Act, providing a new charter for the city of Fort Valley.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 623 by Representative Ridley the 6th, Carpenter the 4th, and Tarvin the 2nd. Bill being titled an act to provide a new charter for the town of Cohutta.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 624 by Representative Taylor, the 173rd, Green, the 151st, Campbell, the 171st, and Dukes, the 154th. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 15.6.2, the official code of Georgia annotated relating the number of judges of superior courts.
Judiciary.
House Bill 625 by Representative Rhodes, the 120th, Powell, the 32nd, and Lever to the 33rd. Bill being titled an act to create the Tri-County Natural Gas Authority.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 626 by Representative Glanton, the 75th, Bodie, the 62nd, Smyrie, the 135th, Beverly, the 143rd, Hughley, the 136th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 20, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to elementary and secondary education.
Education.
House Bill 627 by Representative LaHood of the 175th, Weedower of the 119th, Lott of the 122nd, Rhodes the 120th, and Ridley of the 6th. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 43, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to athletic trainers.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 628 by Representative LaHood of the 175th, Petrie the 166th, Cooper the 43rd, Newton the 123rd, and Ridley the 6th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 14A of Chapter 7 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Central Caregiver Registry.
Human Relations and Aging.
House Bill 629 by Representative Newton the 123rd, Hawkins the 27th, Cooper the 43rd, Fryer the 118th, and Dempsey the 13th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 12 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to control of hazardous conditions.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 630 by Representative Beverly, the 143rd, Mitchell, the 88th, Wilkerson, the 38th, Cannon, the 58th, Bazemore, the 63rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 7, Chapter 4, Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to medical assistance generally.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 631 by Representative Chokus, the 138th, Newton, the 123rd, Kelly, the 16th, Lumsden, the 12th, Stevens, the 164th, and others. A bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 35.3.33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to powers and duties of the Georgia Crime Information Center.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 632 by Representative Bazemore, the 63rd, Bruce, the 61st, Metz, the 55th, Bodie, the 62nd, and Jackson, the 64th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 14 of Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to use of speed detection devices.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 633 by Representative Bazemore, the 63rd, Beverly, the 143rd, Williams, the 168th, Smyrie, the 135th, Mitchell, the 88th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 5 of Title 16, the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to kidnapping, false imprisonment, and relating offenses.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 634 by Representative Mathis, the 144th. Bill be titled an act to amend an act provide that a judge of probate court of Wilkinson County shall serve as chief magistrate of the magistrate court.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 636 by Representative Bodie, the 62nd, Hughley, the 136th, Burnell, the 77th, Davis, the 87th, Shannon, the 84th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to labor and industrial relations.
Industry and Labor.
House Bill 637 by Representative Fry, the 118th, Neal, the 74th, McLaurin, the 51st, Douglas, the 78th, and Howard, the 124th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 12 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to control of hazardous conditions.
Health and Human Services.
House Resolution 220 by Representative Houston, the 170th, a resolution honoring the life of Mr. Homer C. Sumner and dedicating a road in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 221 by Representative Houston, the 170th, a resolution honoring the life of Mr. Charlie D. Rogers and dedicating a road in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 222 by Representative Anderson, the 10th, Thomas, the 21st, Carson, the 46th, Dickey, the 140th, Washburn, the 141st, and others, a resolution creating the House Study Committee on Annexation.
Governmental Affairs.
House Resolution 223 by Representative Evans in the 83rd, Washburn in the 141st, Buckner in the 137th, Thomas the 21st, and Couch the 50th, a resolution creating the Joint Committee on Sustainable Material Management on State Properties.
State Properties.
House Resolution 235 by Representative Fry, the 118th, Clark the 108th, Walensky the 79th, Alexander the 66th, McLaurin of the 51st, and others, a resolution urging the United States Congress to pass a constitutional amendment to establish voting as a right.
Special Committee on Election Integrity.
Senate Bill 51 by Senator Thompson, the 14th, Anavitarte of the 31st, Harvin of the 16th, Payne of the 54th, Robertson of the 29th, and others. A bill be titled an act to amend Part 16 of Article 6, Chapter 2, with Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to other educational programs under the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
Senate Bill 89 by Senator Miller of the 49th, Albers of the 56th, Gooch of the 51st, Kennedy the 18th, Anavitarte of the 31st, and others. A bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to elections and primaries generally.
Special Committee on Election Integrity.
Senate Bill 100 by Senator Watson the 1st, Dugan of the 30th, Kennedy the 18th, Miller of the 49th, Howell of the 48th, and others. Will be titled Act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to state government.
State Planning and Community Affairs.
Senate Bill 119 by Senator Harper the 7th, Goodman the 80th, Burke of the 11th, Mullis the 53rd, Anderson the 24th, and others. A bill be titled Act to amend Code Section 12690 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to permits required for burning of woods.
Natural Resources and Environment.
Senate Bill 148 by Senator Hufstetler of the 52nd, Miller of the 49th, Butler of the 55th, Dugan of the 30th, Parent of the 42nd, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Title 28 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the General Assembly.
Budget and Fiscal Affairs Oversight.
Senate Bill 157 by Senator Cowser of the 46th, Mullis the 53rd, Lucas the 26th, Butler the 55th, Harbison the 15th, and others. The bill be titled Act to amend Part 2 of Article 15, Chapter 1, and Title 10 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Fair Business Practices Act of 1975.
Creative Arts and Entertainment.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 35 by Representative Scott of the 76th, McLeod of the 105th, Beverly of the 143rd, Schofield of the 60th, Davis of the 87th, and others. A bill relating to law enforcement officers and agencies. House Bill 595 by Representative Green of the 151st, a bill to amend an act reconstituting the Board of Education of Clay County. House Bill 596 by Representative Green of the 151st, a bill relating to motor vehicles and traffic. House Bill 597 by Representative Singleton of the 71st, Wade of the 9th, Gilligan of the 24th, a bill relating to dangerous instrumentalities and practices. House Bill 598 by Representative Gullett of the 19th, Bumpton of the 17th, Walensky of the 79th, Smith of the 18th, Widower of the 119th, and others. A bill relating to uninsured motorist coverage under motor vehicle liability policies. House Bill 599 by Representative Thomas of the 21st, Carson of the 46th, Ballinger of the 23rd, a bill to amend an act reincorporating and recreating the city of Woodstock. House Bill 600 by Representative Dreyer of the 59th, and Schofield of the 60th, a bill to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Hapeville. House Bill 601 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, a bill relating to crimes and offenses. House Bill 602 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, a bill to amend an act providing for the election of the members of the Board of Education of Bryan County. House Bill 603 by Representative Meeks of the 178th, a bill to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners for Brantley County. House Bill 604 by Representative Scoggins of the 14th, Gamble of the 15th, Kelly of the 16th, a bill to provide a homestead exemption from Bartow County School District ad valorem taxes for educational purposes. House Bill 606 by Representative Nix of the 69th, Dickey of the 140th, Yurta of the 152nd, Belton of the 112th, Chokus of the 138th, the bill relating to definitions regarding Hope scholarships and grants. House Bill 607 by Representative Bennett of the 94th, Belton of the 112th, Jackson of the 64th, Frazier of the 126th, Lewis Ward of the 109th, and others. A bill relating to imposition rate computation exemptions from state income taxes. House Bill 606 by Representative Widower of the 119th, Burns of the 159th, Smyrie of the 135th, Parsons of the 44th, Kelly of the 16th, and others. A bill relating to state government. House Bill 609 by Representative Gullett of the 19th, Moore of the 95th, Walensky of the 79th, Jones of the 25th, Scoggins of the 14th, a bill relating to animal protection. House Bill 610 by Representative Dickey of the 140th, Washburn of the 141st, Beverly of the 143rd, Mathis of the 144th, Paris of the 142nd, a bill to amend an act providing for the restructuring of the city of Macon, city of Payne, and Bibb County. House Bill 611 by Representative Chokus of the 138th, Laricchia of the 169th, Stevens of the 164th, Werkheiser of the 157th, Powell of the 32nd, and others. A bill relating to small business assistance. House Bill 612 by Representative Blackman of the 146th, Clark of the 147th, Mathis of the 144th, Williams of the 148th, Collins of the 68th, a bill relating to Employees Retirement System of Georgia. House Bill 613 by Representative Blackman of the 146th, Dickey of the 140th, Clark of the 147th, Williams of the 148th, a bill to authorize the governing authority of the City of Perry to levy an excise tax. House Bill 614 by Representative Mathiak of the 73rd, Knight of the 130th, Singleton of the 71st, Bonner of the 72nd, Camp of the 131st, and others, a bill to revise certain provisions governing the Griffin Judicial Circuit. House Bill 615 by Representative Jones of the 25th, a bill relating to elections and primaries. House Bill 616 by Representative Barr of the 103rd, Chokus of the 138th, Stevens of the 164th, Borkheiser of the 157th, Powell of the 32nd, and others, a bill relating to the Georgia Technology Authority. House Bill 617 by Representative Martin of the 49th, Rhodes of the 120th, Fleming of the 121st, Smyre of the 135th, a bill relating to post-secondary education. House Bill 635 by Representative Leverett of the 33rd, Walensky of the 79th, Estration of the 104th, a bill relating to courts. House Resolution 210 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Beverly of the 143rd, Smyre of the 135th, Mitchell of the 88th, Williams of the 168th, and others, resolution urging Congress to enact the John Lewis Civil Rights Voting Act. House Resolution 211 by Representative Evans of the 83rd, Park of the 101st, Williams of the 37th, Schofield of the 60th, Scott of the 76th, and others, resolution urging the Governor of Georgia to join the United States Climate Alliance. House Resolution 212 by Representative Williams of the 145th, a resolution honoring the life of Mrs. Danette Odom Jackson and dedicating a bridge in her memory. Senate Bill 40 by Senator Jordan of the 6th, Al of the 48th, Merritt of the 9th, Jones of the 2nd of the 22nd, Parent of the 42nd, and others, a bill relating to elections and primaries. Senate Bill 67 by Senator Walker of the 3rd of the 20th, Miller of the 49th, Mullis of the 53rd, Kennedy of the 18th, Gooch of the 51st, and others, a bill relating to elections and primaries. Senate Bill 184 by Senator Cowser of the 46th, Miller of the 49th, Duggan of the 30th, Gooch of the 51st, Kennedy of the 18th, bill relating to elections and primaries. Senate Bill 188 by Senator Cowser to the 46th, Miller of the 49th, Duggan of the 30th, Gooch of the 51st, Kennedy of the 18th, and others, a bill relating to elections and primaries, through second readers.
Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Barry Fleming, the 121st District Chairman of the Special Committee on Election Integrity, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Special Committee on Election Integrity has had under consideration the following bill of the House. To instruct me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 531, due pass by committee substitute, respectfully submitted Representative Barry Fleming of the 121st District Chairman. Representative Darlene Taylor of the 173rd District Chairman of the Committee on Governmental Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Governmental Affairs has had under consideration the following bills and resolutions of the House. Instructed me to report same back to the House the following recommendations. House Bill 244 due pass, House Bill 383 due pass, House Bill 435 due pass, House Bill 459 due pass, House Resolution 130 due pass, respectfully submitted Representative Darlene Taylor, the 173rd District Chairman. Representative James Burchett of the 176th District Chairman of the Committee on Judiciary Non-Civil, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary Non-Civils had in consideration the following bills of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 363 due pass, House Bill 410 due pass, respectfully submitted Representative James Burchett of the 176th District Chairman. Representative Lynn Smith of the District Chairman of the Committee on Natural Resources and Environment, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Natural Resources and Environment had under its consideration the following bill of the House. And this instructed me to report the same back to the House the following recommendations. House Bill 355 due pass, respectfully submitted Representative Lynn Smith, Chairman. Representative Newton in the 123rd District Chairman of the Committee on Access to Quality Health Care, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Access to Quality Health Care has under consideration the following bill of the House. Instructed me to report same back to the House following recommendations. House Bill 454 due pass, respectfully submitted Representative Newton in the 123rd District Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
Okay, we're going on now to morning orders. Going on to morning orders. House will come to order. House will be at order. Okay, so let me remind the members, under the rules of this House, after day 20, and we're on now 23, the rules limit the total time each day for morning orders to 10 minutes. 10 minutes. If I allocated to all those who have signed up today an equal amount of time, it would be about 22.1 seconds each. So, let's find out how much you love your brothers and sisters. Because when the 10 minutes is up, there's going to be some that are not going to hear recognized for a morning order. Fateful words. Fateful words. Chair recognizes for a morning order the Majority Leader of the House, Leader Burns, Chairman Dickey, and Chairman Lynn Smith.
Yes, sir. Clock's running, Chairman Woman Smith, so we're going to get started. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a day of celebration. This is virtual Forestry Day at the Capitol. What's significant about that is the General Assembly created the Georgia Forestry Commission 100 years ago in 1921. And since that time, they've continued to promote responsible forest stewardship and fire prevention throughout our state. Now led by new director Tim Larimore, continue to do a great job. Georgia Forest Commission nurseries provide seedlings, encourages reforestation by providing millions of seedlings and other hardwoods for our state landowners. There are 119 local forestry units throughout this state, and they're down here quite often, as you see the resolution on the board, down here celebrating with us the great work they do. We all know the importance of preventing forest fires in our state's forest and for the people of our state. Georgia Forest Commission does a wonderful job educating Georgians on the dangers of forest fires and how to prevent those dreadful calamities. Georgia is the #1 state in the nation for forestry, thanks to healthy markets for our forestry, including paper, lumber, and over 5,000 life-sustaining products. For generations, Georgia's private forest landowners turned trees into jobs and economic output while cleaning our state's air, water in the process, and a $36.5 billion impact on our economy while providing over 140,000 jobs. Please join with us. These two chairmen have made sure that Georgia forestry stays strong, and our state has a great sustainable forestry process program, and we're just grateful to Georgia Forestry Commission and all they do for the state of Georgia. Thank y'all.
Chair recognizes Representative Bentley for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I heard the voice of Jesus say, "Come unto me and rest. Lay down, O weary one, lay down thy head upon my breast." Brian Wardell Raines, pastor of the New Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church of the Bellevue area in Macon, Georgia, heard the voice of Jesus, and he's now taking his eternal rest with his Heavenly Father. Husband to First Lady Alicia Raines, son to Mother Barbara Raines, and the late Pastor Curtis Raines, who served as president of the General Missionary Baptist Convention of Georgia Incorporated, who also went to be with the Lord on February 21st, 2015. Passed away yesterday, February 24th. I am eternally grateful to have had a pastor of strong faith and supportive of me personally and professionally. He's pictured on the screen. Please join me for a moment of silence to honor this 43-year-old military veteran, husband, son, and beloved pastor, Brian Wardell Raines. Amen. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of this House. God bless you all.
Chair recognizes Representative Mac Jackson for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise for a Black History Moment from Sandersville, Georgia. Miss Alicia Gray graduated from Washington County High School in Sandersville. She was ranked as the number 7 overall and number 4 guard in the 2013 class according to ESPN. 3-time Class 3A Player of the Year by the Georgia Athletic Coaches Association. 2-time selection by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Led Washington County to the 3A state title in 2011. She was named to the 2012 USA Basketball U18 national team. She played college basketball for North Carolina and South Carolina, where she won her first national championship. In 2017, she was selected by the Dallas Wings as the 4th overall pick in the 2017 WNBA draft. Her position is shooting guard, Miss Alicia Gray. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Chairman Belton for a morning order. We are now at the halfway point.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to celebrate our University System of Georgia. Our Georgia schools, over the last 5 years, have not raised their tuition more than 1% below the rate of inflation. In the 3 of the last 5 years, there's no tuition increases, and Georgia families pay the 4th least in the South and the 14th lowest in the nation. Our Georgia schools are successful. We have only one of 3 states in the nation with at least 2 universities in the top 15. And our Georgia schools are friendly. 10 of our universities are on the military-friendly designation. 3 are in the top 10, including University of Georgia, Georgia Southern, and Georgia State. And North Georgia College is one of the only 6 military colleges in the United States of the nation. We should be all very, very proud of our University System of Georgia. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Anulowicz for a morning order. Representative Anulowicz has been recognized for a morning order, and her time is running.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is Junior League of Atlanta Day at the Capitol. Like many other days that we've mentioned, it is being done virtually, but it is a very important day. The Junior League was founded in 1916. There are junior leagues actually throughout the state of Georgia, and you hang around this place long enough, they're going to find you, and they will want you to support some legislation. So I urge you to call them back when they call you. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Burnow for a morning order. Chair recognizes Representative Frazier for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is Sickle Cell Day at your state capitol. I wanted to take a moment to ask you to join me in celebrating and commemorating our 50th year anniversary for the Sickle Cell Foundation for the state of Georgia. As many of you know, I have been down here 15 years, and normally when I come to the well, it is usually about sickle cell. I would just like to thank my friends that are gathered here today, but especially Representative Al Williams, Chairman Butch Parrish, and Representative Carolyn Hughley, who have stood with me throughout this fight. And also to recognize Senator Lester Jackson, former State Senator Renee Olderman, and Senator Tanya Anderson, who fights for sickle cell in the Senate. We're here today to celebrate 50 years commemorating Sickle Cell Day at the Georgia State Capitol. 50 years. You need to understand, we have sickle cell patients that does not even live 50 years. The average age for a man is 42. The average age for a woman with sickle cell is 48. Many of you have passed that age right here. So we work very, very hard to ensure that we are continuing the fight to find a cure for sickle cell. So please join me today virtually from 2 to 4. The Zoom information is on your desk, and you have sickle cell people that are online right now. Our Sickle Cell Foundation, our chairman, Dale McClary, is online with the board of directors and hundreds of sickle cell constituents throughout the state. So join me from 2 to 4 to hear the stories and to tell them how grateful you are as we celebrate 50 years of the Sickle Cell Foundation. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Maynor for a morning order.
Thank you, Speaker. Last night we lost a large community leader by the name of Harun Wakil. Harun Wakil was one of the founders of the Street Groomers. The Street Groomers, they advocated for the homeless. All day today, all last night, I have received calls from city council leaders in Atlanta, state leaders. He has been here actually so many times protesting against people here at the Capitol, but at the end of the day, whether you're Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whatever your socioeconomic background is, he just wanted to fight for what was right. He's a very young man. He suffered from seizures. We're not sure what the cause of death is, but all day this morning, WAOK radio, people have been pouring in just saying how much they cared about him, WSB TV last night. So let's please take a moment of silence for a giant that we lost last night, Mr. Harun Wakil. Thank you, Speaker.
Morning order time has expired. We're going on now to the rules calendar. Going on to the rules calendar. The clerk will read the caption to House Bill 442.
House Bill 442 by Representative Collins, the 68th be titled an act to amend Title 19 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to domestic relations so as to provide for the management of social media in parenting plans. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Juvenile Justice, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes the Chairman of the Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee, Chairman Collins, to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I bring before you House Bill 442. It's a very simple bill dealing with domestic relations, specifically with parenting plans for children of parents going through a divorce. Currently in statute, a judge will award the oversight of 4 categories to one or both parents: the child's education, the child's health, the child's extracurricular activities, and the child's religious upbringings. I stand before you today because, like so many others, we see where young children are having cell phones and social media. This just simply adds the management of social media to our current statute. As we have evolved as a society, as a state, that's one of the issues that I think a lot of parents are dealing with, and this just makes it very clear and allows the judge and the parents to go through mediation and decide on who oversees the management of social media. Very simple bill. I'd ask for your favorable consideration, and if there's no questions, I'd like to yield the well, Mr. Speaker.
You do not have any questions. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 442 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? What purpose does the majority leader rise?
Parliamentary Inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like for it to be recorded in the record that the gentleman, the chairman that just presented the bill, has done it the proper way. This is the first bill he has presented to this body in 5 years since he's been here.
I think he was ready.
I think he nailed it, sir. Congratulations to Chairman Collins.
Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of House Bill 442, the ayes are 154, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 63.
House Bill 63 by Representative Blackman and the 146 to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5C of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to alternative ad valorem tax on motor vehicles. This bill having referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes the chair of the Ways and Means Committee, Chairman Blackman, to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We bring before you House Bill 63. As many of you know, when we changed the title tax laws in our state, TAVT did double tax and impact our leases in a kind of a destructive way. When we fixed that, we did not exclude the fees and interest that go along with leases as the payments come in. This addresses that and fixes that moving forward. I've been working on it for a few years. Certainly appreciate all the sponsors and the work that's gone into it from the interested parties. And DOR, as you noticed, has asked us for an effective date of January 1st. So in Section 2, you'll see that. And I think really it's a consumer-friendly piece, and it reaffirms our commitment to the duty that lies nearest, Mr. Speaker.
You have a question if you care to yield.
Yes, sir. I'd be happy to.
Chair recognizes Representative Jasmine Clark up in the gallery to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So, based on this bill, does that mean that the fair market value of my vehicle is going to go up or go down after this, if this law is passed?
There won't be any change to the fair market value of your vehicle. This simply impacts what is taxed on a lease from month to month. It doesn't capture the fees and interest. And by using the term depreciation, it's consistent with the industry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Clark.
You have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask for your favorable consideration. Yield the will.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 63. The ayes are 166, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 43.
House Bill 43 by Representative Cantrell, the 22nd and others being titled an act to amend Code Section 42:26 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to form and contents of application for registration, heavy vehicle tax, and satisfactory proof of insurance. This bill having referred to the Committee on Motor Vehicles, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Representative Cantrell to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I bring to you today House Bill 43. It's a very simple bill. This bill was carried by Chairman McCall last year, and I co-sponsored it with him. Then it died with COVID, and so I'm bringing it back today. What this bill does is very simple. It allows a car owner, when they're registering their license plate, it gives them the option. it's at their option, it's not mandated, to enter in information if the driver of the vehicle might have a physical, mental, or neurological condition which might impede their ability to communicate with a law enforcement officer if they were to get pulled over. So basically what it would do is if the driver got pulled over, the officer would scan the tag and they'd be able to see, I might be talking to a person who has a communication challenge of some kind. Hopefully we could cut down on some of the miscommunications we've had between law enforcement and drivers of vehicles. The second thing that it does is it provides an alternative emergency number. So if the officer wants further clarification, they can call this number to find out exactly what condition the driver has that they're about to encounter. And that's the bill as a whole. That's all it does. And Mr. Speaker, I'm going to yield the well because I know Chairman Nix would like to speak to this bill.
You had no questions, and the chair recognizes Chairman Nix to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll be real brief. If you think this is not a big deal, I have a lady by the name of Serenity Graham in LaGrange I'd like you to talk to. She called me last fall and was describing this bill and what she would like to see in it. She is the mother of a son who is about to turn 16, who is a diabetic. His name is Walker, hence the name of this bill is Walker's Law. She was very concerned that he might be stopped, be having some type of episode, not that would keep him from driving, but would keep him from communicating with the officer. And she asked me to carry this bill or get this bill. Like I said, I didn't think it was a big deal, but after talking to her for a while, I found out it was. I talked to Chairman Corbett. He told me that this bill had been there before. I actually drew a bill up, and then I found out that Representative Cantrell had already done this bill, and we just added Walker's Law to it. I think it's great. It comes in handy to protect both the individual who may have the problem, but I think it also helps protect our law enforcement. We've had so many situations where a traffic stop turned into a very serious situation. And I think this will help to alleviate some of that. So please join me in passing House Bill 43, which we're going to call Walker's Law in honor of this young man from LaGrange. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 43. The ayes are 169, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 86. I'm sorry, misspoke. House Bill 218.
House Bill 218 by Representative Ballinger, the 23rd, to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 1611-126, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to having or carrying handguns, long guns, or other weapons. This bill having referred to the Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security. The committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Ballinger to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring before you a very simple little housekeeping gun bill. The first bill would allow our Attorney General to enter into agreements with other states. This would allow permit holders here in the state of Georgia to carry in approximately 5 other states, as well as have those carriers come here and enjoy our wonderful state while they're enjoying their Second Amendment rights as well. The Section 2 has to do with the powers of the governor and how they're related during an emergency order, and it just puts some constraints and keeps from infringing on our Second Amendment rights. Mr. Speaker, that is the bill. I'll be more than happy to take any questions.
You have a question if you care to yield.
I'll yield.
Chair recognizes Representative Donahue to your right for a question.
How are you doing today?
I'm very well, Representative Donahue. How are you?
I'm great. This is
Excellent.
a friendly question.
Sure.
Could you just explain line 55 where it says pursuant to declared state of emergency shall through 60? I've been asked a question on that, and I think I understand it pretty well, but if you could just explain the definition of that. Thank you.
Okay, I do apologize. Can you restate the question? Because I got it, because you said the following line, so I'm not sure if it was over the specific word or the statement or...
The statement of 55 through 62 line.
55 through 62.
Thank you.
Okay. So, color of law, while acting during or pursuant to a declared state of emergency, shall seize or authorize the seizure of any firearm, ammunition, or any component thereof, ammunition, reloading equipment, supplies, or weapons, the possession of which was not prohibited by law at the time immediately prior to the declaration of the state of emergency, and other than as provided by the criminal or forfeiture laws of the state. Prohibit possession of any firearm. This is going into the emergency powers that the governor has and putting constraints on those powers so that he can infringe upon our Second Amendment rights even during a declared state of emergency. Made me put my glasses back on.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask for your favorable consideration, and I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Representative Becky Evans to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, today I rise in opposition to House Bill 2018. House Bill 2018 unnecessarily expands Georgia's concealed carry handgun reciprocity. This bill would allow people who have concealed gun permits from any other states to also carry their handguns here in Georgia. We do not need to expand concealed carry reciprocity in Georgia. Currently, our law allows those who are licensed to carry in other states to also carry in Georgia only if the Georgia handgun carry license is also recognized in their resident state. Chairman Ballinger told me that's called specific reciprocity. When we talked in committee about who we have specific reciprocity for, they were unsure, but I looked it up on the Attorney General website. We have concealed carry reciprocity with 32 states. And the 2 states that were mentioned in committee are already on our list. And for the record, these are the states: Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, New Hampshire, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. So we have that reciprocity there. So the Chairman Ballinger also made a point that this bill does not automatically provide reciprocity. It facilitates the process. It allows the Attorney General to enter into an agreement. It allows permit holders in those states to carry there, allows our permit holders to carry there. However, the language of this bill does not require reciprocity, which the current law does. So I oppose this bill for several reasons. It's a dangerous threat to our law enforcement officers and our public safety. There's no assurance of discretionary provisions and no assurance of safety and no flexibility for judges during a state of emergency. This general expansion of carry reciprocity could force Georgia to recognize the concealed carry standards from the remaining 17 states where we don't have reciprocity, even the 5 that have dramatically weaker standards, and those that don't require any permit at all. Law enforcement overwhelmingly opposes concealed carry reciprocity, which would put police in danger for doing their jobs. On April 19, 2018, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, IACP, released a letter of opposition to the federal Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act. This letter was signed by 473 law enforcement agencies from 39 states who joined together to oppose concealed carry reciprocity. Our own LaGrange, Georgia Chief of Police, Louis M. Deckmar, was IACP president at that time, and this is what he said. While I support Second Amendment rights for all law-abiding citizens, I strongly oppose the Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act because it endangers the public and law enforcement. This legislation would override state laws that determine who is qualified to carry a concealed firearm, laws that take into account the distinctive circumstances and needs in each state. No state should be forced to accept a person carrying a concealed that does not meet the standards the state has set for its own citizens. Concealed carry reciprocity severely interferes with local law enforcement's ability to prevent gun violence and safeguard the public. I reached out to my law enforcement officers late last night in researching this bill, and I heard back from our sheriff in DeKalb and from Michael O'Connor, the deputy chief of police. So this is not an official police position, but Michael O'Connor said, while I consider myself to be a supporter of Second Amendment rights in general, I am not a supporter of this bill as written. That is my personal opinion. My professional opinion is that this bill does nothing to increase the personal safety of Georgians. It might very well contribute to a spike in gun violence as seen throughout the state in 2020. I ask you, my esteemed colleagues, what does your law enforcement think about this bill? Do they support or do they oppose? It's hard to know if you wouldn't be able to have sent them the bill because it was changed twice, changed in committee with a sub, changed in rules with a sub. So you wouldn't have been able to send them the exact bill to ask them that. So I ask that you check in with your law enforcement officers before you vote yes on this bill. Now, we all know that police officers cannot stop and ask to see a permit for no reason. But if they have probable cause and that person has a weapon, Georgia police officers face an impossible task to verify if the out-of-state permit is valid, meaning that this job will make their job, this bill will make their job more difficult as they are unable to confirm if that person showing a concealed carry permit is a law-abiding gun owner. As Boston Commissioner William Evans said in April 2018, during traffic stops and other interactions with the public, our officers would have to be familiar with 50 different state laws on concealed carry permitting. Given the split-second decisions our officers frequently need to make, this is nearly impossible and can foreseeably lead to violent confrontations. The strongest component of Georgia's carry license is its discretionary provision, which allows a judge to deny a license to someone who is deemed not to be of good moral character. A handful of those states that do not have a discretionary provision in their handgun carry license, these states are Minnesota, New Mexico, Nebraska, Nevada, Arizona, and Washington State. So this means that people who would not be given a concealed carry handgun license if they lived in Georgia, they will be free to carry their handguns on Georgia streets, which will create a significant public safety threat to all Georgia residents. I asked Chairman Ballinger about this, and she said she doesn't see this as a problem. She thinks this is a states' rights issue. But I ask, what about Georgians' rights? Our responsible gun owners have met standards, and they should rest assured that other gun owners have as well. And let's talk about safety. In a time where gun sales and gun violence have risen dramatically across the country, this bill would allow 17 additional states to have handgun carrying privileges in Georgia without any consideration of how strong or well-run their permitting systems are. Some of these additional states do not require safety training, meaning more untrained people in Georgia will be carrying loaded handguns in public and may not know how to properly and safely handle a handgun. The amendment to 218, expanding emergency powers related to guns, unnecessarily ties the hands of judges and public health officials during the state of emergency. The Chief Judge of the Georgia Supreme Court declared a judicial emergency last spring and instructed courts to suspend all but essential functions in an effort to stem the spread of COVID-19 virus. The Council of Probate Court Judges of Georgia issued a memo temporarily suspending license carry renewals and permit applications as a response to local law enforcement limiting fingerprinting. And fingerprinting, which is a requirement to obtain a carry handgun license, and which helps ensure people with dangerous histories don't carry guns in public. This dangerous amendment would not allow judges the flexibility to take a pause. This amendment would curtail judicial discretion and hamstring local law enforcement during a time when the focus should be on public safety, not the ability to carry loaded handguns in public. Increasingly, the amount of people walking around on Georgia streets with loaded handguns from other states, in addition to unnecessarily restricting the authority of judges and public health officials during a public health emergency, is irresponsible and unsafe. And let's talk about the impact. The expansion of concealed carry reciprocity and emergency powers related to gun victims of domestic abuse. As we've said, the strongest component of Georgia's carry license is its discretionary provision, which allows a judge to deny a license to someone who is not of good moral character, someone such as a domestic abuser. Because a handful of states will now be allowed to carry in Georgia that do not have a discretionary provision in their handgun carry license, and Georgia officers have no way to verify if an out-of-state permit is valid, it is possible that those with dangerous histories will be allowed to cross state lines to carry in Georgia, including domestic violence offenders. Back in 2019, during a morning order, I shared with you that at my church, the third Sunday of every month, during our confession, we pray by reading aloud the names of the victims of gun violence for the previous month. The murders, the suicides, the accidents. About 50 a month, 600 a year. We view this as a confession because these are preventable deaths, and gun violence is a sickness in our society. It was during one of these readings that I felt called to run to work on issues and policies that can change these statistics, ending social isolation, increasing access to mental health care, moving towards a restorative model of criminal justice, and ending systemic racial equality, and also reducing easy access to guns. For years, we tied a ribbon for each victim, green for adults, blue for children, out on a string on our church lawn, bearing witness to their lives. We brought that to an end, and we sent all of you a letter and a ribbon asking you to work on policies that would honor the lives of these victims. This past year, we worked on soul boxes, 3-inch paper boxes that show the photo and name and keywords about the life of Georgians, and assembled these into large panels. And I regret to inform you that we had 1,200 victims of gun violence in Georgia in 2020. In December, we went from 50 up to, we'd been having 50 in 2019. We had 98 gun violence deaths in Georgia in December. Each one of these was killed by a bullet shot from the barrel of a gun. Colleagues, House Bill 218 does nothing to protect Georgians. Let's work together to pass safe gun ownership laws. We don't need laws that weaken our public safety. I ask that you join me in voting no for House Bill 218. Speaker, I yield the well.
Lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. There is a minority report on the bill. What purpose does the minority caucus whip rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the minority report.
You're withdrawing it?
Withdraw the,
withdraw
the minority report. Thank you.
Okay. The Representative Wilkerson has asked, has moved to be permitted to withdraw the minority report. Is there any objection? Any objection? The chair hears none, and the minority report is withdrawn. Is there any objection to withdrawing the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is withdrawn. Is there any objection to adopting the substitute offered by the Committee on Rules? The chair hears none. The Rules Committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. What purpose does Chairman Petrie rise? He waves. What purpose does Representative Anulowitz rise?
Thank you, sir. Is it not true that there are many people in our judicial community, including some probate court judges, who are not in favor of this legislation?
I'm sure I know the lady to be a person of integrity and wouldn't state that if it weren't true, but I haven't heard from them. Have all members voted? What purpose does Representative Neal rise? I guess she waves.
Parliamentary Inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that this type of reciprocity bill that has failed the Republican-led Congress in 2015, 2017, and 2019?
That it failed in that Congress? I don't keep up with Congress too much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Even less now. What purpose does Chairman Setzler rise?
Parliamentary Inquiry, Mr.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true this bill provides common sense provisions to protect firearm owners during states of emergency, and that's very often the case. It's those most severe circumstances. Some folks might even own firearms. So this isn't it true, Mr. Chairman? This is a common sense bill that protects everyday people.
If the gentleman so states, I know he believes that to be true. Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 218, the ayes are 103. The nays are 69. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 34.
House Bill 34 by Representative Belton of the 112th and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 44, Title 43, the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to speech language pathologists and audiologists so as to revise licensing provisions. This bill having referred to the Committee on Regulated Industries. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Belton to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to talk about House Bill 34. House Bill 34 is another compact. Again, I have a very nice letter from the Georgia Chamber who is supporting this. And the reason I'm bringing this bill is because the Pentagon has directly asked for this. It increases telehealth in Georgia. It's a bipartisan approach, and we passed a bill like this, Bill Werkheiser, just a few days ago, and hope you can support me again today on speech pathology and audiologist compact. I yield for questions.
You do have a question if you care to yield.
I yield, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Bennett to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it not true that currently in the state of Georgia there is such a shortage in speech and language pathologists, particularly in the practice of pediatrics, that this compact would help to serve the citizens of Georgia?
I agree. I actually saw a speech pathologist when I was a very young child, and I know it did a lot for me, although I'm sure folks wouldn't disagree with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, you have another question if you care to yield.
I'll yield for one more, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Walensky in the gallery, and I'm sorry, he's in room 341. I don't see him.
Thank you, Speaker. Here, let me slide over. Can you see me here?
There you are.
Thank you, Speaker. Does the representative yield?
I yield, sir.
Is it not true that my wife is a speech therapist, and while I'm concerned what I may learn from a background check, that this bill is very important, and I thank you very much for bringing it?
I'm sure that to be the case, sir. I yield the well.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 34, the ayes are 165, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. House Bill 86 will be postponed until the next legislative day.
The clerk will read the caption to H.R. 119.
House Resolution 119 by Representative Ralston of the 7th and others, recognizing United States Senator Johnny Isaacson and dedicating a bridge in his honor. This resolution having been referred to the Committee on Transportation, that committee recommends that this resolution be adopted.
The chair recognizes Speaker Ralston to present the resolution.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It's a real honor for me today to present to you House Resolution 119, a resolution which honors former United States Senator Johnny Isaacson by dedicating a bridge in Chatham County in his honor. I want to first thank Chairman Hitchens for being the second signer on this resolution and for allowing us the opportunity to name this particular bridge for Senator Isaacson. I think it's in his district. I'd also like to thank several other members of the coastal delegation for joining me on the resolution. Chairman Ron Stevens, Chairman Jesse Petrie, Representative Carl Gilliard, and Majority Leader Burns. This bridge, which would become the Senator Johnny Isaacson Bridge, is on State Route 307 and sits over a portion of the Garden City Terminal at our Port of Savannah, just outside the main gate. It carries much of the truck traffic into and out of the Port of Savannah, and it overlooks the new Mason Mega Rail Yard, currently under construction, which will expand the port's freight rail capacity. The Savannah Harbor Expansion Project and the Mason Mega Rail Project both received substantial federal support thanks to Johnny Isaacson. So it is fitting that this bridge, that you can watch Georgia's economy expand because of and through our deepwater ports. Johnny Isaacson was and is a champion for economic development and job creation, a veteran who made his career in real estate. Senator Isaacson believes that the best way to help people to lift our state up is to expand opportunity for everyone. He served our state in this House and across the hall in our state Senate. He also served Georgia in the United States House of Representatives and in the United States Senate until his retirement due to health reasons in 2019. Johnny Isaacson is a great leader and a dedicated public servant, but just as importantly, he is a good and decent man. He treats everyone with respect and with a civility that is becoming all too rare these days. Senator Isaacson only delineates people into one of two groups. To which group you belong has nothing to do with race, gender, or even political party. Senator Isaacson only knows people as friends or future friends. Everyone can look to Senator Isaacson as an example of what one person can do when they just do the right thing. I am honored and humbled to call him my dear friend, and if he is watching at home, I want to offer my personal thanks to him for his service and the very high bar he has set for public service. His example is one we would do well to follow, and it is for that reason that I ask you to join with me in naming this bridge, this important bridge, for Senator Johnny Isaacson. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. The chair recognizes Representative Meeks to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I come to the well in support of this important measure of a true friend to Georgia, a true statesman who served Georgia that he loved so much. As it's been mentioned, having served in this General Assembly, we know Senator Isaacson to be a man who went to Washington to seek resolution to problems, working across the aisle with anyone and everyone whom he encountered. He was not afraid to work for the benefit to solve problems for all of Georgians. I got to know Senator Isaacson during my time in Washington as a staffer. I'm grateful that I did. To him, you see, everyone in the room was important. Whether you opened the door, whether you were a staffer, or whether you were the CEO of a company, everyone was important. Senator Isaacson spent his life thinking about the next generation. For some politicians that we think about the next election, he spent his life making sure that the next generation would have it better than what he had it. In his farewell address, Senator Isaacson made the comment that, in recent history books, you may or may not find Isaacson in the glossary, and you may never see his name again. Well, I'm grateful to stand here today and appreciate Speaker Ralston for bringing this measure to make sure that Senator Isaacson's name will never be forgotten. Thank you, Senator Isaacson, for your service to our state and our country. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield the well.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All in favor of the adoption of the resolution will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the adoption of the resolution, the yeas were 169, the nays were 0. The resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed and adopted. The clerk will read the caption to House Bill 141.
House Bill 141 by Representative Gaines, the 117th, be entitled an act to amend Chapter 15, Title 17 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to victim compensation so as to provide for requirements for awards made from the Georgia Crime Victims Emergency Fund. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary Non-Civil. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Representative Gaines to present the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 141 comes on behalf of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, and it seeks to make medical payments paid to providers through the Crime Victims Compensation Program payment in full. If passed, a fee schedule will be implemented to reduce medical expenses for crime victims and will save the agency a projected $2 million a year in program expenditures. So it's good for the agency and good for victims of violent crime in our state. Be happy to answer any questions.
There are no questions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield the will.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 167, the nays were 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. For what purpose does Representative Gravely rise?
Make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that the rules be temporarily suspended so that a bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Clerk will read the caption.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Gravely, the 67th and others, to be titled an act to amend Article 9 of Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to access to medical cannabis.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of the House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? The chair hears none. Regulated industries. For what purpose does Chairman Tankersley rise?
I rise to make a motion.
State your motion.
I make a motion to move House Bill 614 from Judiciary to Intergovernmental Coordination Committee. Both chairmen are in agreement.
Clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 614 by Representative Mathiak, the 73rd and others, to be entitled an act to revise certain provisions governing the Griffin Judicial Circuit.
On the lady's motion that House Bill 614 be withdrawn from the Judiciary Committee and assigned to Intergovernmental Coordination. Is there objection? The chair hears none. It is so ordered. Clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions.
Honoring the life and memory of Kelly C. Collier Malone. Honoring the life and memory of Dr. Michael H. Edmondson. Congratulating the Effingham Veterans Park, recognizing the 100 Black Men of Atlanta Incorporated on his 2021 virtual day at the State Capitol on March 1st, 2021. Recognizing and commending Deanna Johnson Cothran for her impressive accomplishments as the host of the Working Woman radio show. Recognizing and commending Derica Williams for her leadership in various organizations. Recognizing and commending the DeKalb National Council of Negro Women Section for celebrating its 30th anniversary. Recognizing and commending Beverly Davis. Recognizing and commending Reverend Dr. Sam Davis. Commending and congratulating Chief Mike Jones upon the grand occasion of his retirement, and recognizing and congratulating Elvira Rogers upon the grand occasion of her retirement. And for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. If you have an announcement, please make your way to the front. Please make your way to the front and make sure you're on the list. The chair recognizes Chairman Reeves for an announcement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Judiciary Non-Civil Full Committee is meeting upon adjournment in room 406 of the CLOB, and the Reeves Subcommittee of Judiciary Non-Civil is meeting immediately upon adjournment of full committee in the same room, room 406 of the CLOB. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman F. Strachan for an announcement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The House Judiciary Committee will meet at 1:30 today in room 132. 1:30 today in room 132. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative McLean for an announcement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Working Family Caucus will meet upon adjournment. Your lunches will be in CLOB 307. CLOB 307, that's where your lunches will be. Thank you. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Ballinger for an announcement.
Thank you, Ms. Speaker. Your Juvenile Justice Committee meeting, Juvenile Justice Committee will meet today at 1 o'clock in room 403 here at the CAP. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman England for an announcement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just reminding everyone, tomorrow morning, 7:30 in room 341 and virtually, the House Appropriations Committee will be meeting. We'll be taking up 4 compensation resolutions and also represent our Chairman Reeves, Floor Leader Reeves' fee bill. Those have been sent to you in email form with the meeting invite, and the link will probably be coming a little bit later today for the members to be able to participate via Zoom. So again, 7:30 in the morning, bright and early. Look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Jaspers for an announcement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Transportation, we do meet this afternoon at 2 o'clock. We have some very important bills to take up, and I'll see you at 5:06. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Majority Leader for a motion.
Madam Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Friday, February the 26th, 2021.
On the motion of the Majority Leader that the House stands adjourned until 10 a.m. Friday, February 26th. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed will say no. And the ayes clearly have it, and the House is adjourned.